Thank you so much for watching Landumc Goes There. Please subscribe and hit the like button and the bell notification button. Hang 'em High is a 1968 revisionist Western film that was directed by Ted Post. It was written by Leonard Freeman and Mel Goldberg. The film stars Clint Eastwood as Jed Cooper, Edgar Stevens as a widow who helps him, Ed Bagley as the leader of a gang, and Pat Hingle as a federal judge. The storyline goes that after a gang of men unsuccessfully attempts to lynch him for a cattle rustling crime that he didn't commit, Jed Cooper is saved by Marshal Dave Bliss, who's played by Ben Johnson, and by Judge Adam Fenton, played by Pat Hingle. The lawmen offer him a job as a federal marshal with a caveat that he not abuse his new power to seek revenge against the people that harmed him. But when Cooper finds that some of the men who attacked him are involved in another set of crimes, he fights to bring them to justice. Eastwood spent much of late 1966 and 1967 dubbing for English viewing the versions of the Dollars trilogy. He spent a lot of time being interviewed, and this left him feeling angry and frustrated. The stardom that he had achieved brought more roles on as the tough guy. Irving Leonard, his business manager, gave him a script for a new film to look at. It was the American revisionist Western Hang 'em High, which was considered a cross between Rawhide and Sergio Leone's Westerns. But the William Morris Agency had different feelings about this. They wanted Eastwood to star in a much bigger picture, that of McKenna's Gold. Eastwood didn't approve of this thinking, and he preferred the script of Hang 'em High. He then signed on to the film for a salary of $400,000 and 25% of the net earnings of the film. With the wealth that he had generated by the Dollars trilogy, Irving Leonard helped set up Eastwood's long-desired new production company, the Malpaso Company, which is named after Malpaso Creek, which flows through the property that Eastwood owned at the time in Monterey County, California. Filming for the project purportedly is set in the Oklahoma Territory. The production arrived in Las Cruces, New Mexico on May 25, 1967 to scout locations for the movie. That same day, they located the tree to be used for the hanging in the opening scene. They found it about 12 miles north of Las Cruces. Filming began June 27, 1967, with most of it being done in that general area, with additional scenes then shot in White Sands. The interiors were shot at MGM Studios. The opening scene that involved the hanging was filmed June 29, 1967, next to the Rio Grande. The tree that they used for that scene is no longer standing, and the riverbed is now overgrown with thick brush. Before this film, Ted Post had made only 3 theatrical films in his first 18 years as a director. The vast majority of his directorial work was in television. He had worked with Eastwood previously on the TV series Rawhide, but he was heavily influenced by the Westerns of Sergio Leone. His quick push-in on faces for bold close-ups and his editing techniques are all calculated to unsettle the viewer. The brooding mood and sense of menace is also accentuated by the derelict buildings, the swirling dust, the noise of the wind on the soundtrack, and the tumbleweeds blowing around in the street. This movie represents what might be called the 4th phase of Western stars. The first of these was represented in silent films with stars like William S. Hart. This was an era in which the new medium of film provided adventure in which 3/4 of Americans lived in rural settings. The second phase was the singing cowboys, such as Gene Autry, who introduced a very light-hearted and stylized image. This offered a more fun escapism during the grinding years of the Depression. The third phase was represented by John Wayne, who played serious figures in serious situations. All of this suited the mood of the post-war era. Spanning a period of roughly 30 years, its reign, along with that of John Wayne, was the longest to date. And the last phase is this film. Clint Eastwood introduced a highly modernized cowboy in stories very similar to the John Wayne films, but far more earnest. It kind of gave a breath of fresh air to a genre that had been greatly waning in popularity. This added a new spark to it. It's been reported that the producer, Leonard Freeman, clashed with the director, Ted Post, during production. One day, Freeman showed up on the set, issuing orders and taking charge. Post wanted to confront him, but Clint Eastwood intervened. Eastwood spoke to Freeman, and Freeman left the set and didn't return. What Eastwood had said to him was that if you show up on this set again, there won't be a set, there won't be a cast, and there won't be a crew. So stay out. Inger Stevens had never heard of Clint Eastwood before she was cast in this role. Once they met, she began to like him very much and ended up having an affair with him during filming. When the film was finished, she told director Ted Post, "Anytime you do a picture with Clint and there's a part in it that you could use me, please call me." Ed Bagley, who stars alongside Inger Stevens, shares a slight bit of trivia with the actress. You see, these two ended up dying just 2 days from each other in April of 1970. Bagley died at the age of 69 of a heart attack, and Steven died at the age of 35 by her own hand. Stevens was the first of 3 of Clint Eastwood's leading ladies to perish this way. The others being Jean Seberg from Paint Your Wagon, who died from an overdose of barbiturates in 1979, and Elizabeth Hartman from The Beguiled, who jumped out of her 5th-story apartment window in 1987. This movie was praised by critics and was a major success upon its release. Go back and take another look at this grand Clint Eastwood film. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll continue to chase the classics.